Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. Man, it's going to be a busy Monday. So we got this great article here from Inside Towers. I'll leave a link to it in the description so you guys can check it out. So I told you guys in a previous video, I looked at the official filings from the FCC, and T-Mobile is selling the remaining 93% of its 3.45 DoD spectrum in its entirety to Columbia Capital. It's done. The transaction just has to get approved, and then the licenses will be exchanged, right? Well, not exchanged, but the will be given to Columbia Capital. So this article has a bit more bit more detail that we were looking for. Like I said, this is T-Mobile trying to play chess, right? They bought this spectrum for around 2.93 billion, and now they're trying to use it to their advantage, right? It could have been deployed, that would have been an advantage, but now they're using this spectrum to their advantage to, for one, they got more 2.5 using this spectrum, and now they got some additional cash on hand by using the spectrum. So let's look at this here briefly. So T-Mobile in a recent FCC filing indicated it is divesting its 3.45 gigahertz upper mid-band spectrum holdings. The company originally acquired 199 3.45 gigahertz licenses across 79 PEAs for $2.9 billion in FCC Auction 110 in 2022. Inside Towers reported T-Mobile was the third largest bidder in the auction behind AT&T and EchoStar. Subsidiary to Dish Wireless. I mean, EchoStar's Dish, we all know. U.S. Cellular had the fifth largest bid, acquiring 380 licenses and 104 PEAs for $580 million. So T-Mobile sold off its 3.45 holdings in two parts. 7% of the portfolio, valued at $159 million, was swapped for more 2.5. They needed that very badly in El Paso, and in the other markets that they swapped, they needed it too, right? They have high share. They continue to grow. FWA has huge demand, so they needed that spectrum. And they traded that with Sonic Wave back in May, for those of you who remember. With the remaining 93% sold to Columbia Capital for over $2.7 billion, according to New Street Research. So like I said, they used that spectrum, not deployed on sites, but they got more 2.5 out of it across they used 7% of the spectrum to get more 2.5, and the 93% they sold for over 2.7 billion. So something interesting here also that I want to, and they did talk about that at the Investors Day. Divesting 3.45 gigahertz allows T-Mobile to focus on building out its 2.5 holdings, right? So their capex is already lower. I don't want to say limited, but it's lower than the competition's. So instead of having to allocate some of that spectrum deploying DoD, they can now focus that capital that they would have used deploying DoD on more 2.5, right? That's how they must be looking at it. But looking at it from another perspective, the dual band radios are ready for C-band and DoD. They still have the C-band spectrum in their possession. I don't think they're going to sell that portion. So once they deploy the C-band, they're going to have to climb sites again. So they could have just deployed the dual band radio, if that makes sense, right? So they're going to have to allocate at some point. They're going to have to allocate capital on the C-band deployment where they have that congestion, as they say, congestion protection. So they could have just deployed both, right? So they must have not had any plans for 3.45 whatsoever. Maybe they tested it and then it didn't show good results. I don't know, but they're selling it. That's all we know. So MNOs are relying heavily on upper midband to deliver high-speed 5G performance. Midbands include 2.5 C-band, 3.45, and CBRS, and represents the sweet spot between long reach, low band frequency like 600, 700, and 850, and high bandwidth, high band millimeter wave frequency. And then you can see below everything else. I'll leave this in the description so you guys can check it out. So yeah, so this is happening. I mean, you guys can see it now in an article. First, I saw it in the filings. I looked at it. I'm like, okay, they're going to sell all of it. At first, I thought maybe they're only going to sell in a few counties. They're going to do some other swaps to maybe get more 2.5. But no, they're just going to, the 93%, they're going to sell it for more than a little over 2.7 billion. So they came out ahead. They got more 2.5 in very important cities, and now they got a little over 2.7 billion for the spectrum. So they just about broke even. It's not like they took a massive loss selling the spectrum versus what they originally bought it for. I would say, by my estimations, they came out ahead and in the green by getting more 2.5 by just using about 7% of that spectrum. So that was a good deal for them, right? I got more spectrum here in El Paso, a little more contiguous too. They got the entire 194 megahertz, but we can't use it because of interference. But in the future, there might be a technology that could possibly allow them to use all of it, right? So it's a bit of a risk, a gamble, but right now 140 megahertz is working just fine. And they can always deploy more. Infrastructure, small cells, offloading where needed. So the 140 megahertz makes T-Mobile a bit more flexible in my market, and I'm sure the other markets too. And they probably got to use more of the spectrum in those other markets where there is no interference. So this is going to help all around. It's going to give T-Mobile more 2.5, or got them already more 2.5. And once this deal closes, it gets them almost $3 billion worth of cash that they could use for, I don't know, paying off some of the 600 they bought from Columbia Capital. Maybe they do a swap. Hey, if I give you this, just pay off the 600 I bought from you a few years ago. Who knows? It makes T-Mobile flexible in that regard. And now Columbia Capital has 3.45 in their possession, which AT&T is salivating over. I mean, they are drooling at the mouth over the spectrum. So that's another, I wouldn't even say a possible acquisition target by AT&T. They're going to want this spectrum, and they're going to tell the FCC about it. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, follow my social media outlets. This is Tyrone with Tech Life. See y'all in the next one. Peace.